I think the other day about success. When someone had asked the question to someone on an Instagram story about uh, their fastest way to success, and the answer was a good answer. It was also a pretty common answer these days, and it was, "What's your idea of success?" That's you have to know what does success mean to you, and that had me thinking. What does success mean to me? Because for so many years you have all these, I've had all these thoughts about what I want to do, what success looks like to me, have all these plans mapped out in my head of how I'm going to achieve this and achieve that. Just hitting success in different aspects of life. But I think one thing that to me is a real testament of success is being a parent. Being a parent and raising your kids is, that's ultimate success if you can do that correctly. If you can raise children well, in a good home, teach them love, teach them respect, teach them manners, that's an important level of success. Because it's not an easy task. Um, for me, I always used to think about being a parent. I had kids at home. I didn't even know how to be a parent at all. I had no idea what it was like to raise kids, to change nappies. I missed out on all of it. Even being there for the, birth, I don't even know what that was like until I was blessed with the birth of my recent daughter. But I had no idea. So, when I had all these ideas of success and I used to think about doing this and doing that and achieving all these things in life, what used to cross my mind a lot was, how am I even going to be a dad? And it's not even being a dad to babies, it's being dad to teenagers, to young grown-ups. You know, one of the hardest tests for me since I've been at home has been learning how to be a dad. Usually first-time parents, you learn on the run while your kids are growing up. You get to see them grow up, you get to experience them grow up, and you know them. And you shape them and you mold them. So parenting, I'm not going to say easier, but for lack of a better word, easier. You know how to treat your kids. You know what they respond well to, what they don't respond well to, and they understand your parenting styles also. So I guess, I had a lot of anxieties towards it, but I also saw it as a real test, a challenge, and something that I was super excited about because, when you have kids, all you want to do is raise them. One thing that I've been successful in since I've come home that's it's something that I hold really close to my heart. That it was a big weight and a weight on me for many, many years, was having to talk to my daughter about where I'd been her whole life, why I wasn't there for her birth, for her birthdays, for her milestones. So I thought about that almost every day. How I was going to tell her. I had planned to tell her for a couple of years, and then thought it wasn't the right time. And then another couple of years would go by, and I'd think this is the time. I spoke to people outside. I spoke to psychologists about the best way to go about it because I didn't want to, not tell her, and then she finds out, and uses that against me when she grows up. And on top of that, I wasn't even there. I wasn't there with her to help her process that information and help her deal with it if she had questions. So for so many years, for her whole life, she didn't know, and I didn't know how to tell her. And it took a toll on me. It took a big toll on me, and I felt like I could never build that bond with her because I was holding something back from her that, I was basically living a lie towards my first baby girl. The narrative that we told her since she was old enough to know was that I'm at work, which is a pretty common narrative that parents tell their kids when they're in jail. But we told her I was working. She used to come and visit me at work, and it was always dad's work, dad's work, dad's work. And obviously, as she got older, 8, 9, 10, 11, you'd start to assume that, there's screws, there's correctional officers, there's, how many times there was a question, why is there always police at dad's work? When I used to call, there's phone calls from the correctional center. Her mum obviously tried to shield her from those messages and, just to stop raising suspicion. Like, it just shows the innocence in children. And I didn't want to rob my kids of innocence. The innocent, such an innocent mind that my daughter was, growing up, and she still believed that I was at work because that's what her parents were telling her. Like, that to me is just, I get goosebumps when I think about it, because she probably knew so much better, but, because her mum and her dad told her that her dad's at work, she didn't even question it. It's just the innocence of children. And I just think that's so, once that's gone, once that innocence leaves you, as you grow up, it's just something that you never get back. And when I was so grateful and I was so blessed, and I was so, just humbled that's, up until the moment I told her, that was her belief. I just, I was so, so humbled, and just, obviously that's a big testament to her mum as well, just to shield her like that and just say the right things at the right time. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy task. Not even just in doing that, but also in bearing the weight of having to lie, to protect. I don't want to use the word lie because it's not like an intentional lie, but I guess it is, but for lack of a better word, lie, to protect. That's what you do as a parent. You protect your kids, and, one day when you tell them the truth and the intention was to protect, you hope and you pray that they understand that, the intention behind that. And, when they grow up to have kids, I had lies from my mum growing up. Growing up now as a parent, I completely understand why she told me those things, and I don't even see them as lies anymore. I see them purely as protection, and I appreciate that I was lied to in that sense, because, it was necessary, and I would have done the exact same thing. So it got to the time when I was finally home. I'd been planning to do things like this, to start talking about my journey. I wanted to start, using my story and the success I've found in my path in business and the lessons that I've learned along the way. I wanted to start, sharing them and helping people along the way if that's what's required. And so I knew it'd come out, and I didn't want her to find out in a way, like that on YouTube or on social media, or her friends say something. I wanted, obviously, it was my duty to be the one to tell her. So, it just came to a time when I just said, I got to bite the bullet. There's no better time. I'm here. Things are good. She's seen what I've done with, with my business. She sees how I am. I coach a footy team. She sees how I am with, our friends. She sees what her dad is, who her dad is. And she's probably, it's still early days, only been out just going on a year. So she's still building a bond with me, building a connection with me, a relationship with me. But she has a pretty good understanding of who I am. So, it was the right time. I had to do it. People spin out that, at her age, I was taking her to tell her because they thought, how does she not know? How does she not know? But like I said, she just didn't know. She just believed her parents. So I took her for some dessert. I had to do it, and we were there for about half an hour, and her mum was, shooting me daggers across the table, and I just, I've never been more nervous in my whole life. Like, and I've been through some testing times, in my life, and some super hostile situations. That to date is probably one of the most nervous I've ever felt. I don't think I felt nerves like that for a long time, because I'm a big overthinker. I'm an analyzer of situations, and for me, you have one opportunity to say something like that, So if I said something wrong, it could do damage that can never come back from. So I thought about 100 million different ways to say it, but it came down to just getting her attention and saying, Dad's going to tell you something. And as soon as those words left my mouth, I had committed, so that was it. And straight away, as soon as I said that, I could just see the anxiety on her face, that she was in trouble or I was in trouble or Mum was in trouble. And I said, straight away, I told her, it's all good. No one's in trouble. I just want to tell you something. And I basically just said to her, I told her exactly how it was. When I was, younger, Dad used to get in a lot of trouble and carry on, run around with his mates and, do silly things. And straight away she said, so you were in jail. That's where you were the whole time, you were in jail. I said, yeah. And after I said that, she started to get a bit scared. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? But I just said, are you okay? Is everything okay? And then she just said, are you going back to jail? And that was her anxiety. That was her thought process, that I was coming to tell her that I was going to go to jail again. And I said, no. I said, no way. I said, I'm here with you now, I said, you see everything that I'm doing. I said, I'm not that person anymore. And straight away I saw the anxiety leave her face. And I was relieved. I was like, fuck, I couldn't believe it, I couldn't believe that I'd done it. I was proud of myself. And I was so proud of, the little resilience that she showed in hearing that, where her dad's been her whole life and how well she took it. And I mean, I don't know. I never knew my daughter to have humor as a defense mechanism, but straight away she started to laugh and said, Dad, she goes, basically you're a criminal. I said, well, technically, yes, but, I'd rather not be labeled a criminal. Thank you very much. But after that, I said, look, I'm here. I said, the reason I didn't want to tell you and your mum didn't want to tell you for all those years was because I wasn't here. I didn't want to tell you one day on a visit and then you have questions for me and I can't have the answers for you. So I said, you're at the age now where I see you as a little lady. You're clever, you're smart, you're so sweet, you have a good heart, you can handle this information, and I'm here. I said, Dad's here. I said, Mum's here. You have any questions for me, you ask me, and I'll answer them to the best I can. If you're upset with me, you tell me. If you want to joke about it or you want to talk about it, whatever you want to do, I'm here with you now. And I think she appreciated that and she understood that. And straight away, she didn't question, why didn't you tell me? She didn't get angry. She completely understood, And I mean, in that moment, like, I felt that I've never been more closer to my daughter in my whole life. I felt I had never been. I felt that was the moment that me and my daughter, our relationship was made. It was like I had just delivered her from in a delivery suite. That weight, I didn't realize how much that weight was bearing on me. I had no idea how much I was carrying that and how much it was affecting me inside. Because as soon as we squashed that matter, I felt so much lighter. I felt like a dad. I felt like a dad who really cared about his baby girl, and I just felt like we could bond now, and we could connect on a level that we weren't able to connect on before. I was prepared in that moment for, had she turned around and just said, I can't believe you've lied to me, I hate you, just the worst possible outcome. She's my daughter and I'm her dad, and no matter what, she's always going to be my daughter and I'm always going to be her dad. So it was going to be up to me and how much effort I put in to repair that. And obviously, I'd do anything to repair that. But you never allow your kids to hate you. I would never allow my kids to hate me. So whatever it took, whatever was necessary would be done. And that moment will be with me forever in my life. I've never been nervous around my kids, scared. I never had that level of vulnerability ever. But to see, to be so vulnerable and so, and shaken from the reaction of my daughter just showed me that, just solidified to me my purpose in my life is my family, it's my kids. It's what means everything. It's what, it's why I do what I do. I'm also driven by so many other factors, but at the end of the day, I missed out on my kids' lives, and it's about enjoying the time that we have together. Don't get me wrong, I'm still learning how to be a dad. I learned how to be a father, to a young lady. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. So props to all the dads out there. But it's, it's a journey, and it's a journey that I'm enjoying. It's a journey that I'm so blessed and so grateful that I finally have this opportunity, to finally be here all these years with her. It taught me so many things, but one big lesson that I learned in that was to just do it. I thought about it for so many years, how things were going to, I tried to, visualize the outcome, good, bad, prepared myself mentally for every possible result, for the worst. I spent so many years and so much energy trying to predict what would happen, role playing the conversation. And, obviously that shows how much I care, but it also showed me that sometimes you just need to do it. You need to get it done. I'm just so grateful that, I had an opportunity to be able to tell my daughter that, to have the opportunity to now build a relationship with her. I'm so blessed that I have this opportunity. I'm so blessed that I have a daughter the way that she is. Yeah, I love her from my heart. I think if anybody out there's in the, in the same sort of position as me, it might not be a bad job, but there's something that, they might be holding from their kids and they don't know how to tell them. I get the hesitation that parents are struggling to tell their kids something or to help them out with something. But if you think that you have to tell them, tell them. In the day, you're not going to know until it's done. And that's exactly how I felt. I had no idea until it was done. If you care enough and you've thought it out, then, you've done everything necessary. The next thing to do is just do it. And good or bad, you've done the hard part, and just bringing it back to success. Being a parent is probably the most rewarding job in life, and that's success. If you can to have these wins and have these moments with your kids and have these positive results and positive outcomes, that's ultimate success that you're not going to find in business, and you're not going to find in the sports field. To be able to make a change in your kid's life for the better, to be able to be a role model to, the kids that you bring into this world, to be someone that they love, they trust, that they depend on, they can count on. That is, that's ultimate success. That's a success story in itself. It's something that I strive to be better at every day, something that I always continue to work at, and something that I'll probably never be the best at. But as long as I'm working and growing as a father and as a dad to my kids, as long as I'm moving forward and progressing in that and getting better day by day, that's my duty. That's my purpose. That's what it's all about.